Hello, everyone. Welcome to our session on why micro entrepreneurs are using mobile payment. We are really excited to talk about our study. So I am Abhipsa. I am from Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta. I am an assistant professor here. With me, I have my co-authors, Professor Rahul De from Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, and Professor Raghav Rao from University of Texas at San Antonio. So they are my co-authors on this study. So the study is titled, Why Would Micro Entrepreneurs Continue Using Mobile Payments? An Entrepreneurial Perspective with Evidence from India. So, when we say micro entrepreneurs, we mean the small vendors, these roadside carts, these kind of shops. So they constitute a very important part of our economy, and why they are using mobile payments and would they continue using it. So that's what we try to evaluate. And when we say an entrepreneurial perspective, why we say that is because the reasons they use mobile payment, we believe, is very different from the reasons we as consumers use it, right? Because they have business intentions to use mobile payments. So we try to understand from their entrepreneurial perspective why they're using it. So that is what our study is about. So we presented this paper at European Conference of Information Systems, ESIS, which was held in Norway, Kristiansand, and we had won the Best Runners-Up Award for the most innovative paper there. So we are really excited to share that, and we are really happy to talk about it in the Financial Inclusion Week. And thanks a lot to the organizers for giving us this opportunity. So before we begin talking about the paper, I wanted to give a brief highlight about what the paper is about. So why are we looking at micro entrepreneurs first? Why are we looking at these kind of small stalls? As you can see, this is what I was talking about, small vendors with these roadside stores, and you see there's a mobile payment QR code card there, and the customer is transacting. And this is a roadside store selling momos, right? Dumplings. So Arjun Momos Corner. And we have many such stores, and we have collected data from them. This being one of our respondents. And I have pictures of other stores also. So it's really interesting, like the way they offer mobile payments. But the point is, why are we looking at them at all? That's because if you look at the motivation here, micro entrepreneurs, this kind of small businesses, small vendors, they actually constitute a huge bulk, more than 80% of the retail segment of India. And hence they hold a major key to socio-economic and sustainable development of the country, right? One, through financial inclusion. Secondly, through the socio-economic development of these small vendors who are usually low-income vendors. So that is why we look at mobile payment usage of these vendors. Now, we know that mobile payments are dominating commercial transaction in developing economies, but at the same time, very less number of research has actually looked into the commercial side, the merchant side, and even lesser into looked into this micro entrepreneurs. And there's hardly any study that has examined why they would continue using mobile payment. And what we believe is, which I was also talking about in the beginning, is the reason they will use mobile payment. The reason this Arjun, I believe this is Arjun of Arjun Momo Center. So why this entrepreneur will want to use mobile payment is very different from why I and you would want to use mobile payment as a consumer, because we are driven by consumer side use factors which have been studied a lot. But these are entrepreneurs, they are businessmen, so their reason for using would be very business focused. So that is what we study using the theory of entrepreneurial orientation, that how their entrepreneurial perspective is affecting their reasons to use mobile payment. And when after we do the study, we basically test it using or we validate the study using 208 responses from surveys of micro entrepreneurs. And it holds implications for sustainable development through financial inclusion and also through the development of these small entrepreneurs. Okay, so now starting the now let us start talking about the study. So as I already mentioned, we are heavily motivated by the fact that these micro entrepreneurs constitute a bulk of the economy and they hold the key to sustainable development. And due to various factors, they have already started using mobile payments. But the question is, will they continue using it, right? So will micro entrepreneurs sustain using mobile payment is also our key and primary research question. So we are trying to see whether they will continue using. We are trying to see by answering is what drives their continuity of mobile payment uses, right? And we believe that what is driving them to use mobile payment is very different from what is driving us. So we try to figure out the entrepreneurial, the business minded factors that mobile payments will have, right? What entrepreneurial characteristics of mobile payments will promote its continuity among micro entrepreneurs? That is our second research question. Basically, how mobile payment is helping these micro entrepreneurs achieve their business, business goals, and how mobile payment itself has capabilities or characteristics that will kind of motivate these micro entrepreneurs to continue using it. And then we develop a model and validate the model using survey. So before we move on to development of the model, a brief literature of the study talks about the merchant side use. They have acknowledged the fact that it's very essential to look at the merchant side, but yet it is significantly under-researched, even more so if we are talking about micro-entrepreneurs. On the other side, research has acknowledged the fact that looking at these micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises and how they are accessing financial services can impact sustainable development. In fact, SDG 8 directly talks about their access of financial services, and hence this study is going to impact sustainable development and have implications for sustainable development goals. So moving on to the that entrepreneurial perspective of the people. So how are we drawing from theory, right? So this entrepreneurial orientation framework is very interesting. So what it talks about is, if you look at the picture here, and we have a picture of another merchant, and look at the number of stickers he has, right? Very interesting, right? So many stickers. And the way he has arranged the shop and all, I found this very innovative and interesting. So what the theory says is micro entrepreneurs have an entrepreneurial dispositions. And what does it mean? That they have these 5 unique characteristics. Micro entrepreneurs, not micro entrepreneurs, any kind of entrepreneurs have 5 distinct characteristics. One, they like autonomy. Why? They like autonomy because, entrepreneurs, they're their own businesses, they're not employees. So they like to maintain the autonomy of the business. Second, they are innovative because they have their own business, they're creative, they're innovative, and we can see this from the arrangement of the fruit and everything, right? Third, of course, they are concerned about risk, they take risk, and they are careful about risks also because business, right? Competitive aggressiveness, definitely. So they will if the other food vendor is offering Paytm and Google Pay, this food vendor is likely to want to do that too because they're competitive. They're competing against their competitors for business. And proactiveness. So what does proactiveness mean? That whatever the customer demands. So this word proactiveness basically comes from meeting the customer demands proactively. So whatever the customer demands, and we can see a customer here in the picture. So whatever she demands, if she wants mobile payment option, he's going to give it. So that's what. So this is the general theory that talks about these 5 very key characteristics of entrepreneurs. Now we see that micro entrepreneurs are also going to be influenced by this, and we develop the model based on these 5 key characteristics, and we see that if mobile payment has these capabilities, these has the capability of promoting these characteristics of entrepreneurs, then these entrepreneurs will continue using the mobile payment. That is what we say. So based on the first characteristic, which is autonomy, we have business autonomy. So if mobile payment allows you to do seamless business without any distractions, then they will want to use mobile payment. They'll want to continue using mobile payment. Convenience, very important. If it's convenient, it lets you conduct your business autonomously. It's easy to use, right? So it's easy to conduct your business also using it. Competitive aggressiveness, we call it competitive externality, because it's like, when other people are using, other merchants or competitors are using mobile payment, I'm also going to use mobile payment. Innovativeness, if mobile payment allows you experimentation, innovation with QR codes, etc. Customer expectations is from the proactiveness about customer demands, right? That was the factor. So this factor talks about if, micro entrepreneurs will continue using it if their customers are expecting them to use it. From risk taking, we have adapted it to perceived risk. So mobile payment does have a lot of risks associated with it, like cyber theft, there's a lot of news coming up around cyber threat. There can be other kinds of losses, financial losses from this kind of transactions. So if the risk is high, there's a lesser chance of the micro entrepreneurs using it. Although they're risk taking, still they will not want to use it if there's a lot of risk connected to it. Cost is a very interesting factor here, because cost, if you look at the original theory, we do not have cost here. Why not? Because it is for entrepreneurs, every entrepreneur, but we are talking about small entrepreneurs, micro entrepreneurs, right? We are talking about the small vendors who are typically low income. So we include this cost as a factor to make this model appropriate for micro entrepreneurs in developing country context. Then we go ahead and design a survey based on the model to validate the model. And we translated the survey in Hindi because we collected the data from marketplaces in Delhi. So all these vendors' pictures that you have seen here, right? So these are all pictures from marketplaces in Delhi. Okay, so then we finally collect the survey and get the results. And interestingly, we have got significant results. So the stars signify significance. So significant results for almost all the factors. So these factors are very important for micro entrepreneurs to continue using mobile payment. Well, this dotted line shows that, well, competitive externality or, competition, the reason to use mobile payment because other merchants are using, they did not find it that important, like, although we thought they would. So what we think is that, well, they don't care so much about why others are using it, whether others are using it, but they care more about the core capabilities of the technology, which are captured by business autonomy, convenience, innovativeness, customer expectations, etc. Now, after doing the survey, we also spoke to some of the vendors directly, right? And we saw that whatever we were capturing through the survey, we wanted to further verify and validate if, they were also thinking in the same lines. And yes, they were. So all of these factors, they spoke about these factors directly, right? So they said that customer expectations, very important factor. So business depends on customers. Today, using online payment is a necessity to keep up with the changes of the present times. Similarly, they talk about innovativeness. I have this one card and posters encouraging online payment. So using these cards and posters, they are doing innovative ways of using mobile payment. Let's see, convenience, right? Online payment directly links us with the bank, and maintaining transaction records become very easy. It also solves the issue of looking for change. So they like the convenience that mobile payment bring in. So the factors that we developed, the model that we developed, they are also, when we talk to them, they are also talking about the same factors. So yes, so that looks good, right? So we are in the right direction. That gives us validation. So since these factors were significant, we are trying to suggest some things from the findings. So we are trying to make these suggestions for both mobile payment providers and governments and policymakers who want to promote mobile payment for financial inclusion. So what are we saying? We are saying that since business autonomy is important, mobile payment should not disrupt the standard business transaction, but just provide an additional option. Similarly, they should be able to experiment with mobile payments like multiple cards and QR codes that allows innovativeness, which is important. Convenience, of course, the ease of use of mobile payment. Customer expectations, yes. So the popularity is due to customer demands of mobile payment, and that's so with the popularity of a handheld device and the resilience by mobile payments using cash related crisis, customer demand for mobile payments make them use it, right? Make them offer it to the customers. Cost, very important for small merchants. So additional transaction fee is not a good idea. So we also suggest this later when we suggest implications for the government here in the next slide. We see that lessons for government and policymaker to ensure zero transaction cost for micro-entrepreneur participation. So now in India, we have the unified payment interface, UPI, right? So UPI doesn't have any transaction fee as of now. So that's a good thing. And there should not be transaction fees if you want these low-income micro-entrepreneurs to participate in mobile payment transactions. And then, of course, the implications are for the SDGs that talk about not only about financial inclusion through good health and well-being, but also about economic growth and industry innovation and infrastructure, which talks about use of technology for promoting industrial growth of SMEs and small enterprises, and also use of technology for economic growth. So understanding why mobile payment technology would be important and how what are the reasons these SMEs, the small enterprises micro enterprises would continue using mobile payment would in fact contribute or have implications for sustainable development goals. So that brings us to the conclusion. A brief snapshot. We spoke a lot. So quickly, what did we talk about? Basically, we were talking about the fact that micro entrepreneurs use mobile payment for reasons very different for consumers. Their need to use mobile payment is very much dependent on their entrepreneurial focus, their business mindedness, right? And that's how we develop the model based on the entrepreneurial orientation framework, and it has implications for sustainable development. So, well, this is a picture I wanted to share with you. This is so as I was mentioning, I had presented our paper at this European Conference on Information System, and it was held at the University of Agder in Norway. And this university very interestingly had this Sustainable Development Center and this whole model. So I thought it's very interesting that that was where I presented my paper, which has so much of implications for sustainable development. So thank you so much for listening to the talk. I hope you enjoyed it. And well, if you have any further questions, you can of course drop us an email. You know who we are, and our emails are available on the website. So you can drop us an email and we can talk about it.